Welcome, everybody. And here we are in the sixth and final webinar. So, myself and Charlie have taken you through a few different things. And now it's time to look at Google Workspace. We say with a tentative beyond remote learning, and obviously, sort of touching lots of wood along the way. Thank you for everyone who's attended and those who are attending today. Hello, Louise, Phil, Nicola. So far, only England represented, but hopefully we'll get some wider representation soon. Hey Charlie, how are you?
I'm doing great, Ben, and it's great to be back after a little break for the kind of midterms for our colleagues in England. In Scotland, we were still hard at work, as you might imagine, and maybe other countries around the UK were also doing that. But yeah, no, great to be back and looking forward to today's session and the idea of going beyond what we've done with remote learning to really embedding Workspace into the activities of your school or your organization, just to take that next big step in terms of what you do with your functionality around Workspace. Really looking forward to it.
Absolutely, yes. You were a little bit surprised as to why we had a week off last week. It didn't really make sense if you're up in Scotland, did it?
Yeah, it was a bit random. Had a week off and thinking, what's going on here? But anyway, we finish on the 25th of June in Scotland. So most schools and local authorities in Scotland will finish then. So we're, our colleagues in England have a little further to go, and I think Wales also. So yeah, we finish early. That's why we didn't have that week off in the middle.
And I can see we've got some viewers over from Ireland as well, so that's perfect. Right. Without further ado, then, we'll kick off with our Beyond Remote Learning. As you know, we've been going through this series of 6 webinars to look at the updates that have come to Google Workspace for Education, and those updates to Education Fundamentals, as well as the upgrades for Teaching and Learning, Education Standard and Plus, providing that choice, control and flexibility. Hopefully, since we started talking about 170 million users worldwide of Google Workspace for Education, maybe there are some more in the period that we've been delivering, but obviously it's proved a useful tool pre-pandemic, but it obviously came into its own in a number of ways during the pandemic situation as well. So just a very quick reminder about the additions. So if you were using G Suite, it's now called Google Workspace for Education Fundamentals. It's that same free suite of tools. And as hopefully you've noticed, as well as the updates for the upgrades, there are updates coming for fundamentals as well, just sort of reiterating Google's commitment to providing those free tools. Now, obviously, the enterprise has been split into 3 options for you. So you've got Google Workspace for Education Standard, and Charlie spent a couple of sessions really diving into the security and analytics tools that allow you to be more proactive in addition to those secure fundamentals basis. You can be proactive with Education Standard to sort of control access in your learning environment. We've also spent a bit of time looking at the teaching and learning upgrades, so whether that's through Google Classroom or Meet. And there are some interesting updates coming for the Teaching and Learning upgrade. But if you want all of that and more, Google Workspace for Education Plus gives you that and a few little additional extras as well.
Yeah, there's some great features in those new additions. Just as you say, Ben, just all those features around security, keeping your domain safe and secure, and managing your data. So do recommend folks have a look at that.
Yeah, and just a reminder to reach out to your partner if you want to find out about pricing and getting a 50 license 60-day trial of the Education Plus, and you can distribute those licenses to any of your colleagues and staff and really have a look at the different options there. So obviously many people have started using the tools because of the remote learning situation. Google Meet and Google Classroom provided that easy to access place to go as teachers were at home or teachers were communicating with children who are at home. But let's not forget that organizations have been using Google Workspace for a number of years now, pre to any pandemic, and using that as their full kind of workplace solution. So let's just remind you that existed, and schools have been using this for a number of years. And obviously myself and Charlie have been working in schools and wider organizations of schools that have been using Google tools for a number of years. Charlie, when did Aberdeen City get started with Google
I
Apps or
think
G
we
Suite?
were 2014, Ben. We started then, and there's been many, many developments since then. But we started then a big investment in Chromebooks, and that's just grown and grown over time. And it's been really interesting to see that journey, not just in our local authority within Scotland, but also in a number of other partner local authorities across Scotland and also more widely. So folks have really engaged with the tools over time. And as you say, during the pandemic and that need for remote learning, great many more people have come on the stream to see the value of it and get involved.
And obviously through C2K and through Glow and through Hub in Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales respectively, those Google Workspace accounts are automatically provisioned and available for you. Situation in England is a bit more varied in how you access it, and you can obviously reach out and try and get those providers to provide you with that. Okay, so embedding Google Workspace into everyone's school day. I really shouldn't be doing this, but I just wanted to look at, first of all, talking about turning your workplace into a place that uses Google by default. So that's one of the things, if you've recently started using Google tools, you're probably in a hybrid environment, much like many other places, and you might have a few different places that people go, people share resources and that kind of thing. And one of the things you might want to start doing next beyond remote learning is really consolidating the use of Google effectively for that instant collaboration, that access from anywhere, and that flexibility for both educators, staff and learners. So that's what we're going to sort of try and embed in today's session. And we're going to do that through two aspects. First, we're going to look at professional development. So teachers have had to learn very quickly how to enable their digital skills to provide learning from distance. But all of those new skills, how can we support them bringing those back into the classroom? So we'll look at, if you've been watching this 6 series webinar, then what next? And also we're going to look at collaboration. So yes, you might be collaborating as staff and educators, but also collaboration of students. And that's one of the things that Google Workspace provides. So that's kind of the trajectory or orbit. And on the day that there is a partial solar eclipse as well, it's nice to have a bit of a solar system theme going on with the slides. I've skipped ahead too far, because before I talk to you about some of those updates, I'm actually going to switch into a Google document and talk, first of all, about that kind of professional development aspect. So here I have got a Google document where I have been collating together the 6 sessions that Charlie and I have been looking at. So for example, if you are heading back into your school to share what you've learned from the webinars, if you're looking to embed the use of Google, then you might be looking at some training to offer out to the teachers and staff. So let's have a look at it in the context of our 6 sessions. So we've had, here are the titles and the descriptions of our 6 sessions. And you may, for example, want to do a version of these back at your school, and you're just going to start collaborating here. So don't forget that once you've created your document, you can share that with whoever you like, whoever you want to work with. So just in case I haven't already, I'm just going to share it over to Charlie and give him edit access for this document so we can work on that one together as we share it out more widely. So we're going to pick a date for a repeat of this first training. Let's go really bold, and you're going to go straight into it tomorrow. Now, some of the things that already exist in Google Docs for allowing you to sort of make things easy to access is the ability to put links in. So let's just jump into my Google Drive and let's have a look at, here we've got all of my slide decks. So I'm just going to right click and I'm going to get the link to this Beyond Google Workspace. Oh, actually, that's the wrong one, isn't it? I want Learn about Google Workspace. So let's right click on that one. I'm going to go to Get Link and I'm going to copy that link. Currently it's set that anyone within the demo workspace domain can view, and for the purposes of this document that will work great. And I can drag over and I can just put in a hyperlink. However, many of you will have been watching Google's updates eagerly and know that there are a few other ways you can do that now. So the word smart canvas might start to become a bit more common as you're using Google Workspace. So previously, if you were to put an @ in a document, that would allow you to specifically call out individuals. But what you can also do now is you can start searching through not just people, but also files and calendar events and put them directly into your document. So here we go. We've got Learn About Google Workspace, and I can have a direct link to those slides. And what you'll also see here is as soon as I hover over them, it opens up this preview window of the slides. So that's really useful for your colleagues who are viewing it, but also, as we've looked in a previous webinar, for students who don't have to navigate away from the document they're in to view the slides. And you can open a preview and review those within that same document. So that's something that you might want to do in terms of embedding the use of easily finding things. And obviously, if you think about this as a wider curriculum document where your colleagues are able to access all the files they need from one place, that might be a nice way to set that up. So you can go through, and if I do the same here, actually I'm going to remove the link and just do @engaging collaborative. Oh. I think I've got all too excited. Engaging. And there it is. That's the one I wanted. So you can put those in as we go through. I'll do one more and then I promise we'll get going. Security features. So nice little feature there.
Yeah, just to say, folks, if you have any questions, we've got our Q&A doc that's open. So just pop your questions in there. I've just shared the link in the chat, and the link's there for just you. And you can just have a look at that and pop your questions in there for us. I'll let Ben get back to demoing today. Right, thanks, Ben.
You see, I can tell I'm in a run. So that's how we kind of set those up, and that new @ feature for the Smart Canvas is a nice one to be aware of. That is rolling out slowly but surely to Google Workspace domains. Now, over here, I want to have the option for our colleagues to join a live stream for this session. So our training live stream needs to be set up. The other thing that you might notice that maybe wasn't around previously is this option, present to a meeting, which has appeared. So that's another one of those new updates that came out recently. And what it allows me to do is if I drop down, you'll see that I've got a meeting scheduled. There's actually meant to be now. And what I can do is go straight into that meeting and open up with this document. So do I want to present this tab to the meeting? And if I do, we're going to open it up and it's going to be in that meeting and you can present that away. And we can stop there. So that's a nice feature there. Of any meeting you've got available, you can now present straight into it from your documents or slides or presentations. Okay.
Ben, we've got a quick question just from Mr. G. Lewis, just to say, are we going to be able to share this summary with them?
Way ahead of me, yeah. So you might notice if you go into the Q&A doc that there is under the section that says link, there's a kind of black bit of text waiting for a link, and that is exactly where I was going to go with that one. So let me borrow that link there, and I'll go and put that into the Q&A doc shortly. Also just need to make sure I share that one a bit more widely than just our domain. So change that to anyone with the link. Oh, I've put it in a shared drive. So one of the security features is that in my shared drive, I can't send it without the domain. So I just need to move that one before I do that. Caught me out there. So we will make that available through the Q&A doc, but I just need to move it out of my shared drive first.
Yep, so it's coming to you, folks.
Cool. Okay, so let's have a look at this live stream option. So A lot of the features that I've talked about so far, like this smart canvas, that's going to be available to education fundamentals users. Equally, the ability to present to a meeting is going to come to the freely available fundamentals users. Live stream, however, is one of the upgraded features that you can get through Education Plus or through the Teaching and Learning upgrade. So let's just jump out into Calendar. I'm going to do that via my sidebar and then just open up Calendar in a separate tab. So I had said that we were going to do this training session tomorrow on Friday. So let's allocate a slot. Let's not make it too objectionably late. So we're going to do an afternoon 2 till 3 session. Well, actually, we know that these sessions are 45 minutes, so let's change that. And this one is going to be Learn About Google Workspace Updates. And myself and Charlie are going to be presenting that. So let's add Charlie into the Meet as well. So at this point, we've got a normal Google Meet set up that's been added here through our calendar event for me and Charlie. But what I can do via the settings is, as well as sort of add breakout rooms if I wanted to and sort of adjust host controls, is I can drop these down and I can add a live stream. So that's an option that you'll see if you have the Teaching and Learning Upgrade or Education Plus. And this link here that it's created, if I copy that, that's the link that I want to go and put onto my document here. So if I just double click on that one, add in a hyperlink, and that live stream link is available there. So that's one way that you can, using a calendar event, you can create a live stream. Now, if you're using the Teaching and Learning Upgrade, then that is available to up to 10,000 people to view within your domain. If you are on Education Plus, then up to 100,000 people can view across your domain. Many of you will be thinking that I don't come anywhere close with those numbers, but just bear in mind that New York public schools, for example, has around sort of 1.2 million students. So they really need even more than that. Okay.
Great. Ben, we've got a couple of questions if you have an opportunity just now. So we have a question around, and there are no silly questions, folks. I'm very happy for you to ask questions. That's the whole purpose of our training session today and for you joining us. What's the difference between a live stream and a Google Meet? Okay, so initially, not very much, but I'll show you both views and that should help sort of clarify that. And I think also, just to link in with Naz's question as well, is the live stream available to externals, i.e. non-domain? At this point, no. It is something that only people within the domain can join. That may change in the future, but for the moment, it's just within domain. So that's why we're looking at it from a professional development point of view, where myself and Charlie can have a meet set up between the two of us, but that can be live streamed across the rest of the school, local authority or trust for people to view without having to restrict it to just either 100 people on a meet if you're on fundamentals or 250 people if you've got the upgrade. So if you want to get a few thousand of your teachers on that, then you can. But in answer to Nicola's question, let's have a look at what the difference looks like, because you'll see that obviously I've created a normal Google Meet through my calendar event with me and Charlie. And if I go to join Meet, you'll see, hopefully if you're using Meet regularly, a fairly familiar scene where I can join. The difference being that you'll see I have this option at the top here to start streaming. So just like a normal meet, Charlie can join me. We can have a little chat about getting set up. We can present our screen. And then when we're ready, we can click on start streaming. And after a little countdown, that will then go live. And that link that I've put in the document, people can start joining. So if I go back now and this link here, you wouldn't have been able to see anything if you joined that link before I went go live.
and you'll see here that it would have said that. And now, once it's ready, you can click on that and you can see that there I am chatting away, but there's less ability to interact. So I'm just watching that meet live, if you like. So this is the live stream view. And then here is the meet that myself and Charlie would be in. And once we're ready, once we're finished, we can then bring that to an end and we can stop streaming. And you've still got the option to record, obviously sort of bring in whiteboards and various things and people can watch live. And then we can stop streaming. So hopefully, Nicola, that goes some way to kind of explaining the difference for you. Now, the only thing I wanted to add to that is what I did here was I added the live stream through the calendar event and then I copied this link and made that link available. If you would like to have a calendar event for everyone watching the live stream, and then what you can do, oh no, don't cancel that, save that. Let me save all of that and send that over. So if I zoom in a little bit, here is the meet event, the calendar event, if you like, for myself and Charlie. If I click once on it, go to the 3 dots at the top and create a view only event. It will create basically a duplicate of that event. And what you can do with this one is you can invite like all staff or the maths department or a group of people like this, and they will only be able to click on the live stream link and join. But obviously what it enables you to do is have a calendar event that goes in their calendar so they're reminded about that particular live stream. Those are actually real people on an account, so I'm not going to send them the notification just in case they get all excited about the live stream. So there we've set up a live stream, and obviously for those of people invited to this calendar event, they'll see that on the calendar and they can join, or as we've done, we've got the link here. Cool. Thank you, Nicola, for confirming that so it all makes sense as well. So there's our first bit of kind of bringing together this document, the links to the slides, and the ability to have a live stream within your domain as part of the new upgrades. Something else that can be quite useful, just to quickly show you before we switch tact, is sometimes you don't necessarily want to send a document out to people. Obviously, we'd send this out view only, so people could have a look at it, click on the links and have a look around. But a nice addition that's available is publish to the web. And that can be a nice option if you don't want to build a whole website, but you want to take your document and make it look a little bit more website-y. Then if I click on publish and go OK, you're actually provided with a link. And if I copy that link and I make that link available to everyone, you get this kind of a view. And it gets updated periodically, and you'll see those links have come through as well, where people can jump out, click on the link and go through to, for example, the live stream. So a little extra there is that publish to the web option, and that's also available for slides and sheets as well. Okay, so there's one little example of how you can get into starting to use Google Workspace to collaborate and work with colleagues. Something else just to make sure you're aware of is, don't forget, in the same way, one of the really effective ways to use Google Workspace with your colleagues is if you are joint planning or if you're working on policy documents, is to drag over and use the comment option just as you would for feedback with students. And I can do @Charlie, please can you check you are happy with the description and the dates, and I can assign that to Charlie, and Charlie get a notification that there's a comment waiting for his attention in here. And that might be one of the ways, if you haven't started working like that with your colleagues, you can you can get going. And obviously this document is available here. I can jump onto my phone and edit it there, and I can find it wherever I am. I don't have to be in a particular location. Okay, keep the questions coming. We'll keep on monitoring the comments and the Q&A document. As we said, that document is going to be just moved out of the shared drive, and we'll put that link on the Q&A document so you can get into that. Q&A document also has the feedback form on and a few other links from previous sessions as well. Or have I got something I should be paying attention to? Oh, it looks like Charlie is happy because he's resolved it. Perfect. Excellent. So that's our first little look there at sort of professional development, bringing those tools together, and also a little sneak peek at some of the tools that are rolling out. I think I noticed the Deep T was asking about the present icon. So that is beginning to roll out to workspace domains across the world, but you may find that it hasn't quite got to all of yours yet. Particularly, you can choose in the back end whether you're on standard or rapid release. And if you're not on rapid release, obviously that won't, you'll get it a bit after other people as well.
Typically about 6 weeks delay between the two, I think. So you'll be kind of 6 weeks after, depending on when it rolls out.
Yeah, but that's all on its way, and that's coming to Education Fundamentals. So that's not one of the upgrades. So far, it's live stream, which comes under the Teaching and Learning upgrade or the Education Plus upgrade. Okay, so next up, I was going to have a look at some collaboration. So I'm going to switch into a Google form in a moment, and we're going to have a look at that, because actually it's the first time I think I've used a Google form across the 6 sessions, which seems crazy considering Google Forms is such a wonderful tool that a lot of people get started with. Okay, so we're going to switch to a Google form, and for this one we're going to think of this as, yes, you could build this for the students to work through. So in this case I have got a Mars quiz and also some data collection, but I also want you to think of this as a tool that the students and the children can build together as well. Back in a few years ago, I had some digital leader students build a kind of what would you do Google form together for a sort of internet safety week that we were running at the school, and so the form allowed other children and students in the school to sort of decide what they would choose, and there were some kind of outcomes based on their choices. So we kind of built a branching form that way. And well, I say the students built it all, and I just did a bit of checking before we sent it out live. So I've got my Mars quiz here, and just to make it a little bit more exciting and engaging, I have put a secret passcode to get into the form. First of all, I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm in the preview view of my Google form, or what people would see when they're filling it in. And let's go for, is it my normal passcode of Port Vale? Let's find out. And I've just got a little bit of information here. It actually says, when was Mars discovered? Easy peasy. As we all know, that was 1610. And that allows you to now progress. Whereas if you put anything else, it won't let me. I have to get the right answer in. And then we can move forward in the form. Now, you may also have noticed that this little icon here is telling me that my progress has been saved. So we talked about it in previous webinars, draft responses in forms. A little sneak preview of it here. It's soon coming out to your domain, but we've got a little sneak preview here, so don't go looking for it on your own. You won't find it. But what that means is if I close down that tab and then actually a Control-Shift-T to reopen it again, it saves my progress, and you'll see that I've got it there. Let's just remove that. And my draft is restored. So draft responses now. enables you to save it as you go. I got far too excited then, and I pulled out the cable from my headphones. So just so I can hear myself, I'm back. Okay, let's have a look though at that form and how that was set up. So this is the edit view of the form. So you see, same form, we got a secret password. If you want to have a bit of fun and make it a bit more engaging for the students, then the way that I've created that passcode aspect is to have one question and then have a new section added using that kind of equals sign here. And for this first question, I've used the 3 dots and something called response validation. If I remove that and then I put it back in again, response validation, what you can do here is you can make sure that it kind of restricts what people can write in to a certain set of things. So in this case, I want it to be a number and I want it to be equal to 1610. And if they don't get it right, when was Mars discovered? And that's the little error message that you can put in. You can also have that in to make sure people put in a URL rather than any other aspects and things like that. And if you make it a required question, no one's moving on until they get it right. So that can be a nice way to create a Google form with a little bit of a passcode. Okay, do you have a link to the Google form? Lawrence, I'll send that out once I've finished making it. You'll see it doesn't really achieve much once we go beyond the first question. But once I've finished it, I'll send it out so you can have a look. So,
yeah, I was saving that question for the end.
Yeah, though I appreciate your eagerness, and I will, yeah, in the spirit of sharing, it will be made available. Okay, so let's have a go at making this into a quiz. First things first, if I want it to be a quiz, I need to head up to my settings cog, and I need to just check under quizzes whether I've turned on the make it a quiz button. So I'm going to assign that. Now, for those of you with managed Chromebooks within your school, local authority or trust, one of the options you'll also have is to turn on locked mode. So that would mean on the managed Chromebooks, if the children are accessing the form, it will lock them out from navigating to other tabs and will only allow them back in to navigate once they've finished. So it allows you a slightly more sort of high stakes option. And you've got a few options that you can choose from on a kind of deciding on the pedagogical approach you want to take. Okay, so I've got my form as a quiz now. And you'll see there's now 0 points available. So let's get some questions in. So first question. Mars is larger than Earth. And you'll also see under the suggestions that it's spotted. It looks like it's going to be a true or false question, which it is. So I can put in my true or false. And under the answer key, I can make sure I allocate Mars is larger than Earth. Well, that's false. And I'm going to provide 1 point for the correct answer. And under the answer feedback, for the incorrect answer, you can provide a link. So, for example, you might want to link back to the slides, or you can even link back to Google Classroom to remind them to go back to that. And you can also add in videos as well. And that's probably a fairly useful one to provide them with the information they need. For the correct answer, you can obviously give them a well done, or in the same way, move them on to information about the next stage. Okay, so there's my first question about the relative sizes of Mars and Earth. I'm just going to add in an extra question, which is name a planet larger than Earth. And it's spotted here that one of the correct answers you might want to put in is Jupiter. So you can click on that and that will automatically go into the answer key as one of your answers. Now, obviously, you can then start to add in different options And I believe I'm all right so far. One of the tricky bits is whether or not you start to put in other options, like if they haven't capitalized. But don't worry if you don't put all the options. There is a way to override the marking afterwards. And again, let me just adjust the points. And you can add feedback just as you did for the previous one. So again, putting this in the hands of students, allowing them to create quizzes based on the topics they've been working on and share them with each other is a great way. And obviously you can have the children put their finished quizzes into the comments under a task in Google Classroom. And Lawrence is loving this. We've hit the right topic for Lawrence. Good point. Don't forget Saturn. Okay. I'm going to make that a required question, so they have to complete it in order to move on. And I'm just going to check that my other question is also required as well. Let me just come out of there and make that required. Awesome stuff. Got one more question to add, and then it will be coming out, I promise. Now, under the questionnaire bit, you don't have to have all questions. We might want to add a little question here, which is, how likely are you to volunteer? I think I know the answer for this one from Lawrence. To be on a mission to Mars. And you'll see again, it's kind of picked the scale, like not a chance. And where do I sign up?
Definitely, where do I sign up? That's the right answer, I think.
We'll make that one required as well. And then we've got our form that we can send out. Just a reminder for those of you teaching younger children, when you do a multiple choice, there is the option to add images in. So if I just go to a Google image search and maybe put, I think, check mark rather than tick, because you'll just get their little frustrating animals. So you can put in a tick like that. And obviously for false, I can put a cross. Let's see if that also provides me with something. What's the official name for that?
I go red cross, which tends to do it when I search. Yeah. There you go.
I can probably get over that one, can't I? There we go.
Yeah.
And also the Norwegian flag. So yeah, if you are teaching younger children who are on that trajectory towards reading, then this can obviously help them. And it's also a nice kind of, I've seen these used a lot as sort of lesson checkout. So how did you feel about today's learning? Sort of, and those kind of smiley face, neutral face, sad face as well. Okay, so there is my quiz, and obviously what I can do now is I can either send that out, or let's not forget I've been using Google Classroom extensively. I could jump into Google Classroom and make that one available. Giving away a little bit of my method. I've got a couple of computers going, so Lawrence, I will post that link out into the comments shortly. But first of all, let's just jump back into, if we remember this particular classroom, obviously what I can do is jump into classwork, create a quick assignment, and we can add in the quiz in the form from Google Drive. Let's have a look if that comes up first. Fortunately it does, and in it goes. And again, you're given the option to turn on locked mode, and you're also given the option to import the grades directly in to Google Classroom. Okay, so I'm just going to assign that one under the topic of Mars. And there we go.
Yeah, and just a thought on that, Ben, just while you're looking at that, the great thing about Workspace is it saves teachers time. When you're thinking about tackling bureaucracy, doing that administration, there's a great example when your quiz that you've created, the grades from that marks will automatically go into Classroom, and then from there they can go into your grade book from Classroom. So it's it just saves teachers so much time.
Yeah, and there's my grade book for those various ones. You see, I'm a little bit behind on my marking. But also just a reminder that you will see around autumn time a new tab for teachers called engagement, where you'll be able to track the level of engagement from your class as well. So that's where that is going to appear in due course. Okay, I'm just going to take a pause. The last section I want to have a look at is around accessibility, both through Google Workspace tools, but also through Chromebooks as well. But just before I do that, I was just going to pause and see if there's anything I need to pick up. So I noticed a couple of comments from John, which we can have a look at. I think I need a more considered response in the Q&A doc for John there, and make sure that I can give that my due attention. So, anything else, Charlie, that I need to pick up before we move into the accessibility part?
I think we're good there, Ben. I think we picked up everything that was in the chat, and as you say, you've spotted John's comments that are going into the Q&A doc, which will need a little bit more consideration, as you say. Yeah, let's crack on.
Awesome. Okay, so if I just first of all jump back into our original Google document here, one of the things that has been improving year on year, and there's been some updates recently for this, is the accessibility tools available. And obviously there's always room for improvement, and designing for accessibility is designing for everyone. So it's an important part of the development of the tools. Just in this Google document, under tools, you'll see the accessibility settings. And I just wanted to flag in there that you have got the ability for Braille support. And there have been improvements to that Braille support recently, where you can turn on screen reader and Braille support to work with third-party sort of Braille hardware, so kind of keyboards, etc. The other bit as well is if you've got third-party screen magnifier software that any of your children are using, then that can be made to work with the Google document as well. So just a little reminder, if you have students with those needs, that you can find those under the accessibility tools. In addition to that, it's always a good reminder to sort of, under tools, you've also got voice typing, which can be a useful addition for students. Particularly, I found where students maybe express themselves really well verbally, but don't always get it down in writing as effectively. So under tools and voice typing, and this is available in pretty much as many languages as you can think of, but I'm not going to do anything too extraordinary other than choose UK English. I may need to enable my mic, but I'll just give it a quick demonstration here. In this session, we're going to look at how you can use Google Forms. Full stop. Oh dear, that seemed to catch me out a little bit. For some reason, my Chromebook doesn't seem to be hearing me quite as well as I would like. You know, that game went perfectly when I did it in the practice run. I think in terms of the various microphones I've got on it, there's a better option there. But that voice typing I've found really useful with students, sometimes if their English is additional language. And I know a lot of teachers use it for their report writing as well. So that's one option that is available. And also under tools, you've got the option to translate the document, which can be a useful addition as well. So that's kind of just directly through a Google document, and all of those features are available whether you're on a Chromebook or not. But if I just reduce that window, and let's have a look at our options under the toolbar here. So I have got my accessibility features enabled, and you'll see that I've already turned on select to speak, and you'll notice that gives a little icon down the bottom here. And I can also turn on full screen magnifier. And full screen magnifier is really useful for allowing you to, if I just bring back up one of my windows, with a pinch zoom without the full screen magnifier on, you aren't able to zoom in on the kind of the tabs. Whereas with full screen magnifier, you can actually zoom in into the whole screen. And that can be really useful for students that need to see with a bit more detail what's going on up at the top here. So just that can be a really useful one to have available. As well as the full screen magnifier, there's the docked magnifier, meaning you can get a zoomed in sort of look at portions of the screen as you move the cursor around. And if I just open up accessibility again and just turn off the docked magnifier, for children that need it, there's a spoken feedback. So ChromeVox, if I turn that on, will read everything that's going on.
ChromeVox spoken feedback is ready. EN. Google Workspace Training Curriculum. Google Docs. Tab. Screen reader support enabled.
So you'll see that spoken feedback is picking up everything. And just Charlie with a thumbs up, did that come through?
Yeah, Ben, that was great. And just when we're talking about accessibility features, we've got a question from Andy that I'll maybe just quickly answer. So Andy says, he's asking about the Chrome turning off accessibility features. Now that's something that you can do in the admin console under your Chrome settings. I kind of really caution against that because it will affect the accessibility and the inclusiveness of your Chrome devices, but you can do it by users. So if you've got an issue with that and you want to target specific users, what you can do is you can disable the accessibility shortcuts that you were showing there, Ben, in terms of the menu system, and you can remove the accessibility option from the menu also. So a couple of things that you can do there in terms of removing shortcuts and removing the options on the menu. So I hope that answers your question, Andy.
Yeah, and obviously on some network devices you might arrive at the device and see that someone's had a change around with that, but on sort of single user Chromebooks that could be used slightly differently. One of the other ones I wanted to have a look at under the accessibility features is the select to speak. What that enables you to do once that is on is using on my Chromebook the search key. I can then hold down the search key and drag over a section of text.
Google Workspace. Beyond remote learning. As more schools are reopening, this session will help you be prepared for continuing to enable independent learning through.
So you'll see that once that's open, you get this little bar here where you can pause, move it on, move it back, and you can also change the speed with which that text is read out as well. And that's actually one of the recent improvements. The select to speak has been around for a while, but this user interface is a big improvement on what was there before as well. And then just to give you the final tour, there's everything you might expect in there in terms of switch access, which we talked about. So that will, if you do have children that need switch access to navigate their screen, that will now work seamlessly with however they're kind of connecting to their device. And the final one that I just wanted to
and that switch access, Ben, just while you mentioned it there, the switch access is single and double switches. So if you work with children that use those particular supports, then you'll know the difference between single switch and double switches. So that's going to be it's baked into Chrome. It's there for you.
Awesome. Thank you for clarifying that as well. And then finally, dictation. If any of you are familiar with Dragon's Den, you may have seen that a teacher came on with a kind of voice-activated label writer. But one of the things that you can do, voice typing worked within the doc, but if you wanted to, for example, drag over a section, add a comment, and then put in a bit of information here, then the dictation option, if I open this up, I'm nervous now though, of course, should start to pick up what I'm saying. It seems like I've got a setting somewhere on my Chromebook that's not quite doing what I need it to. So I may need to come back to that one. And you may also see that I've got a third-party tool that can also provide that kind of functionality as well. Let me just give it a second go. hello, Chromebook. So close. Don't use the word Chromebook, Ben. Okay, so apologies for my voice typing. I should have just sort of checked over my Chromebook to make sure all the microphones were doing as they should do. I'm aware I'm over our allotted time, so I need to wrap things up. But hopefully we've had a bit of a chance to look at some of the wider features that are relevant to those of you using Google Workspace beyond remote learning. So just a quick review of those. One thing we haven't got to show yet because it's launching in the autumn is document approvals. So streamlining that approvals process, and that'll be available to Education Plus licenses. You've seen it today, which is draft responses in Google Forms. So a little sneak preview, but that's coming to Education Fundamentals users, allowing you to save progress for up to 30 days. And all you need to do is close down the form, go back to the same form, and your progress will be saved. Classroom add-ons, just a little reminder that with the Education Plus and Teaching Learn Upgrade, Classroom add-ons is coming around autumn for the back to school. We'll be able to integrate more of those third-party tools directly into Google Classroom. And as I mentioned, that engagement option in Google Classroom is going to be appearing in your Google Classrooms as you return to school around August, September time. Just as well, just as we also talk about kind of going on, one of the things that was sort of shown as one of the weaknesses was that use on mobile where students are outside of school and also where teachers are using mobile. So for scanning and marking, there's an improved mobile workflow for teachers, and there's going to be an easier option for getting attachments for students, all through Education Fundamentals and initially on Android to start with, to just improve that mobile experience. There's been some improvements to Classroom and Meet. So when you get around back to school, when you join a Meet through Google Classroom, you'll have more choices about when students can join after teachers, and also all of the teachers for a classroom will have host controls over that Meet generated through Classroom as well. So just a quick run through of some of the additional features. Hopefully there's some little extras you can take away from that. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm aware that I owe you a link to a document and a link to a form, which I'll be putting in the Q&A document. So we'll just throw that Q&A document link back into the comments again. And we would also love your feedback on this and all of the sessions you've seen.
So Ben, we've got one quick question from Lawrence, who's asking about the accessibility features. So the ones that you were turning on inside the browser there. I just wanted to say more about those and their availability on different platforms, not just on Chromebook. Yeah,
so everything I did within the Google document is native to Google Documents. And if you're in the Chrome browser on a Windows device or a Mac device, the ability to do voice typing in documents, the browse support will be available, whatever device you're on. Obviously, when I minimized my window and started going from my Chromebook sort of menu, those are specifically Chromebook related features. And actually one other additional one I didn't have time to show was the new screen recorder option, which is specific to Chromebooks now as well. Awesome.
Grand, thanks Ben, that's great. I'm just going to pop into the comments, folks, just a feedback link for you. If you're able to give us some feedback on that link, we'd really appreciate it. There's a link there that you could use, and yeah, very much welcome your feedback on this session and all the previous sessions that we've done. We've done 6 weeks of sessions, lots of information that we've shared with you. It's been really great to partner with Ben on this, so yeah, great to present and share to you all.
Yeah, and obviously that feedback will lead into whatever webinars and opportunities come up later on in the year and into the back to school. So bear that in mind. If there's anything you feel was missing from this that you'd like to see more of, or anything that was in this that you'd like to see even more of, then please do head to the feedback form and let us know. It has been a pleasure to share and a pleasure to work with you, Charlie. And hopefully you've got a few things you can you can take away. And thank you, Michael, and thank you, Deli, for your kind comments. Have a wonderful afternoon and evening, everyone. And hopefully, as you approach the end of this, well, I'm going to say 2 years, if we talk in terms of academic years of turmoil, you can have a good break and sort of feel ready to take on what will hopefully be a much more manageable year next year, if such a thing exists in teaching.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ben. Thank you, everybody.
Cheers, everyone.